Welcome to Mission to Inspire with Shola Ajibade, where inspiration, purpose, and abundance come alive. Together, we'll empower lasting change, helping you step boldly into your greatest potential. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mission to Inspire. My name is Shola, as you know, and we are joined today by Erik. Hi, Erik. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Shola. Thanks for having me.
So, we will be talking about quite a few things today. Are you ready to unlock a life of abundance, wealth, and purpose? I'm Shola Ajibade, your money, abundance, and prosperity coach, and I'm inviting you to join me on the Faith Hub, where faith meets prosperity. Inside this hub, Faith Hub, you get to access my exclusive coaching, powerful money affirmations, and life-changing resources to help you attract financial success and walk boldly in abundance. Dive into my books, live sessions, and daily affirmations designed to transform your mindset and align you with divine wealth. Join me today on Faith Here and start speaking prosperity into your life. Download the app, Faith Here app, now and step into your season of massive abundance. I shall see you on Faith Here app. Join me there and see you soon. But I would say that Erik is a leading expert in adding value to existing brands and businesses. And he's actually trusted by Fortune and quite a number of companies. So I will leave it to Erik to do a proper introduction of himself. Tell us a little bit more about you, about what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were talking a little bit earlier before the cameras and microphones were recording. But yeah, I came from corporate America, did that for over 2 decades, building corporate brands. And what I recognized was, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Groundhog's Day. But I very much felt like the main character in there, Bill Murray, where every day was the same over and over and over. The alarm clock would go off, and then I'm like, well, I'm stuck in the same day. So I was blessed with the opportunity to get laid off. I wasn't going to leave of my own accord. Maybe I would have, but they said, hey, you're leading this creative team. So I was in-house creative agencies, meaning, we did all the marketing, the branding, logos, digital, all of the things that make brands look pretty. Yeah. And we did it really well, but they wanted to outsource everything. So, to significantly save. And I had to lay off the entire team over the course of months, and I would be the last one to leave. So, yeah, they're like, okay, so shut the light off when you're done. when you fire everyone, just don't forget to close the door and shut the light. So that during that process, though, Shola, I was reading a book, listening to one on the drive, and it was called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Oh yeah. And in there, he talks about 4 quadrants. You're familiar with the book? Yes, I am. So I don't have to explain the whole concept, but he said that there are 4 types of people in the economy. There's the employee, E, and then there's the self-employed, a solopreneur, say, and then there's the business owner, and there's investors. So there's 4 different ways to make money. And these concepts, as he was going through it, I started to realize I was many things that was wrong with the system, in that I was financially illiterate. And the book was pointing this out very much so. And I was just getting angry and frustrated, literally punching the steering wheel while I was listening to this book. But at the same time, not only was I frustrated, I was also inspired to do something different, to do something with my life and create financial freedom for myself. So I went home and I told my wife, we had one child at the time, and she was pregnant with our second. And I said, I don't think I'm going to go back. I'm not going to look for a job. She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, I'm not going to update my resume. I was like, I'm going to start a business. And she's like, what are you talking about? What are you going to do? You going to start a creative agency? I'm like, no, I'm going to become a real estate investor. She's like, Dog. You don't know anything about real estate investing. So I took it upon myself to educate, to dive deep into investing strategies, bought
Mhm.
my first multi-family building, and created a vast network of real estate investors that had a different mindset. They had an abundance mindset versus where I came from, which is a scarcity mindset, always
Mhm.
like hiding my homework and, hey, don't look at me, don't take what I have, versus there's plenty for us all. It was so foreign, Shola. So that's what it was. That was the first thing. That was the purple pill, I say, that I took from Robert Kiyosaki, and then started me on the path to entrepreneurship, building, a business and helping multi-million dollar and billion dollar companies
Mhm.
create their brands.
Right. Oh, that is excellent. So you are into properties as well as helping other people add value to their businesses.
Yes, that is my main mission, is to find other mission-driven entrepreneurs so
Mm-hmm.
that I can help them on their mission. Hopefully it's aligned and we have very similar values, and amplify their voices, amplify what they're trying to do to make the world better.
Oh, so how did you become a successful entrepreneur?
There's many different things that are not in our favor, right? A lot of obstacles in the way. And I would say, Shola, the first obstacle is this. And for those who are listening, I'm pointing to the mind. That I did not know was a big piece of it, to get up early every day to motivate myself. Because when you have a weekly paycheck, they say that there are two things that are most addictive in the world. Number one is heroin. I'd say meth at this point. And two is a weekly salary, a weekly paycheck. And because you just do the same thing, you're going to get your check regardless of how much effort you put in usually. And that was the place I was in, and I developed a lot of bad habits. So James Clear puts it best. He wrote a book called Atomic Habits,
Mm-hmm.
and in there he says entrepreneurship and being a business owner is personal development in disguise.
Right.
Personal development in disguise. I had no idea, Shola. I would not have done it probably if I had known how much work would have to be put into to develop new habits, to change my mindset, to be positive every day, to inspire others. That was the biggest challenge for sure.
Of course, of course, of course. And thinking about people then working for you,
Yeah.
you have to dedicate work, making sure that they do it, and you have to motivate them and inspire them to do it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, the hack there that I found is you don't need to motivate people if you
right.
hire the right people,
If you
because
hire the
they
right
self motivate. They have the good habits in place. They are aligned with your values, and they have discipline. Versus from corporate America, there are a lot of people that just make their way in. Like I was one of them for sure. Like you
Mhm,
can phone it in, right? You can give the company 70% of yourself, and they have no idea like you're capable of more because you're only giving them a certain amount.
mhm.
Whereas I realized I don't have to hire those people. When they come into my company, let me find people who are self-motivated. Let me find people who are disciplined, have great habits, have values that I hold dear as well. And then it becomes easier for sure,
Yeah,
managing the
yeah,
business and managing others. You don't have to manage them.
that's true. That's true. You don't have to manage them. Wow, that's huge. That is so huge. But how do you identify and define the brands that you work with? How do you define their core message, especially those who are just starting?
Yeah. So there's work that needs to be done. A lot of people start a company and they think about the widget, the product, whatever it is that they're selling.
Yeah,
They talk about the features of that product.
right.
So whether it's, I have a wonderful microphone here, Shola, oh, it's great. It's got all the new technology. It's got the greatest chips, but whatever. And we
Mhm.
talk about the features versus what's the value to that person and how is it going to change their life?
Is it
Like
going to
that's
change
what we
your
need to talk
life?
about, the why behind the microphone
Wow.
versus the technical aspects of it. And I think Steve Jobs, God rest his soul, he had a epiphany because he ran Apple for a decade or two, and then he got fired from his own company. But prior to him getting fired, he was he had an when the first Apple came out, he put out a 9-page ad in the Wall Street Journal. 9 pages talking about all the technical specifications about why this computer is great and why you should buy this computer. He got fired. Ultimately it was a failure, a miserable failure. This computer got fired, and then he went to work for and run Pixar, the movie company who Disney owns now. And
Yeah.
what he learned when he was in Disney was storytelling and the reason behind everything. Being able to craft a story and emotion behind something. Came back to Apple and changed it forever as we know it. Because then he put out the iPod and didn't talk about specifications, talked about why this will change your life. Music in your pocket, inspiration when you need it. All these things he started to understand. Oh, the why behind it, not what. So that's the big game changer that people have to understand. And the why comes from you, like from your heart. You have to figure
Mm.
out what drives you and gets you up every morning. Talk about
Yeah.
that,
Mm.
not the specs, not the specifications and the features.
Oh my goodness. But then, so the role of storytelling, right? I know it does play a very crucial role, but what role does it play in building a successful brand? Because a lot of people can't really tell story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So from your
Yeah.
example now, you went back to Apple and changed it to the storytelling, but not a lot of people can do that.
Yeah, yeah. It's really hard for sure. There's 7 principles that I'll share. And I'm borrowing this from a book called Story Brand by Donald Miller. Have you
Okay.
read this book?
No.
It's wonderful. And he breaks it down in a very simple way. So there's 7 principles to good storytelling. And I'll point it. I'll tell you what the 7 are, and then I'll give you an example, a wonderful example.
Mhm.
So the first thing is there's always a main character in a story, you or I, or yeah, mostly the entrepreneur. The second is that character has a problem he
Okay.
needs to solve. And then during that process of trying to figure out what the solution is to that problem, he usually meets a guide, a mentor, a coach. And then
Okay.
that guide or mentor will give him a tool that then
Mhm.
he can take action on.
Mm.
And then that action leads to a result. He either wins or he loses. And that's the main basic foundation of good storytelling. So I'll give you a perfect example that most people hopefully understand,
Mhm.
will connect with. So Star Wars, right? That's a classic movie in my life. That was the first movie I ever saw in the movie theater. And Luke Skywalker is the main character.
Mhm.
His problem was the Empire, right? All
Yeah.
the bad guys, Darth Vader and all these guys wanted to
Mhm.
kill him because he had this information, the droids, they had the blueprint to destroy the Death Star. So then he, during that process, met Obi-Wan Kenobi, his guide, and the guide said, "Hey, you need to learn the ways of the Force
Mm.
and learn how to use this tool, the lightsaber, to
Mhm.
fight." The
Mm.
action was then now he had to fight, literally, Darth Vader and fight the Empire. And we didn't know if he was going to win or lose, but he won by destroying the Death Star in the end. So that's
Oh.
like one example of that. That's a perfect way to
Mhm.
describe and explain the 7 principles of good storytelling. So
Okay.
the trick is, how do we tell a story, our own stories?
Are you ready to unlock a life of abundance, wealth, and purpose? I'm Shola Ajibade, your money, abundance, and prosperity coach, and I'm inviting you to join me on the Faith Hub, where faith meets prosperity. Inside this app, Faithia app, you get to access my exclusive coaching, powerful money affirmations, and life-changing resources to help you attract financial success and walk boldly in abundance. Dive into my books, live sessions, and daily affirmations designed to transform your mindset and align you with divine wealth. Join me today on Faith Here and start speaking prosperity into your life. Download the app, Faith Here app, now and step into your season of massive abundance. I shall see you on Faith You Have. Join me there and see you soon.
That framework. And then there's another sort of 3D chess, but I'll stop there uh, and see
Right.
what.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, effectively, it's important to be able to tell a story.
I'm sorry. Is it?
I said, effectively, it is important to be able to tell a story,
Yes. And
regardless. So, if you have a brand, instead of, like you said, instead of you telling everybody what your brand can do, we should tell a story of why people need that brand and
why you do
what
it.
benefits.
Number one, why you do it, right?
Why? Yeah.
People need to get behind why you're doing it. Like, what's the
Right.
mission? So another example is Elon Musk. Why did he create SpaceX?
Yeah.
Well, he has this mission ever since he was a child. He saw the moon landing and everything, was inspired. Said we could do more. We can go beyond this. We should be explorers of the stars. So he had that mission. So we know his why. And then you have to push it towards like, why does everybody else need to jump on board with you? And then the way to do that is, what is their mission? What is their value? What do they want to do in their life? So if you have a product and you
Mm-hmm.
have, the reason why you created the product, then
Yeah.
you also have to understand the person who's most likely going to buy it, who needs it, get into their story. That's another level of like, why do they need it? Now
Why?
I am Obi-Wan Kenobi and everyone else is the hero, Luke Skywalker. So
Mm-hmm.
if you look at it from that perspective, oh, I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm here to shepherd this young person who needs to defeat the bad guys. So
Right.
if you flip it, a lot of people think, yes, there's instances where I tell a story and I am the main character, but
Mm-hmm.
most likely in your business, you have to shift that mindset to, I'm not the main character, I'm the guide, I'm the coach, I'm the mentor
I'm
lifting
the
you up.
mentor, I'm the coach. Oh my God. That is so clever. Hmm. That is so clever. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I have never thought about it that way, to be honest. Ah, that is so clever.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've worked with high profile figures and companies. What are some key takeaways from these experiences that can benefit small business owners?
Yeah. Definitely surround yourself with people who know more than you,
People that know.
especially in areas where you feel weak. For me, that is finance. I hate finances. I'm a creative guy at heart, so it's the opposite. So I try to find good people that are really, really good at that, and then I try to provide value in the things they're not great at. Whether it's their brand or their podcast. So find people that you can uh, use as your guide and your
Mhm.
mentor. So, for example, Gary Vaynerchuk, I watched him. He's big here in the United States. He started the hustle grind movement, where like everybody had to just go out there and figure out how to be an entrepreneur and build their social media presence. So he was a big inspiration for me when I left corporate. And I reached out to him and his team at some point. We started to work together and I became a client. And I was describing my business at the time to him and what I needed. And he was giving me guidance. And he gave me enough guidance to the point, Shola, where I realized this business is going to fail. So I shut it
Mm.
down. So
Oh.
can you imagine how much time and energy and money I would have spent if I continued that business? It's funny because I went to him like, hey, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Uh, let's figure out how to make this business shine. And he said, you need to do this. And I said, I don't know if that's possible. Let me look at the numbers. Yeah, this business is not going to go without that advice he's giving me. I can't do that right now. So yeah, focus my energy somewhere else, another company that I was running, and that company is On Air Brands, still running today. So yeah, that's
Wow.
that's the benefit of having mentors. They can give
Mentors.
you, they can
Yes.
point to iceberg, iceberg ahead, and then like you jump ship,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
before you sink.
Wow. So it's good. It's good to have people in your life who know more than you, like you said, and they actually share the same value. Because sometimes if they don't share the same value, then it's pointless, to be honest. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. So, how do you balance your personal values, especially with your professional goals?
Yeah, that's a good question. So personal values aligning and balancing with personal goals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first it's identifying what those goals are and constantly checking it. That which I would say I'm not that great at checking. So I'll write the goals out, say November, December at the end of the
Yeah.
year.
Mm-hmm.
Check in really, rigorously and consistently, probably the beginning of the year, January, February, March. And then it sort of starts to fade in the ether. So I wouldn't recommend that. I would say checking it every 3 months and ensuring that you're following the plan that you made to reach the end of your goal so that you can make moves and pivot. I think that I don't often check the plan because it's always changing. That's how quickly my industry is changing. So it's like we're on the fly, moving, adjusting, tweaking and modifying what we're doing in our company, and how do we match what the market needs
Mm-hmm.
versus constantly going and checking that. So, but I would recommend that always checking your plan against the goals and what do you need to do to change and modify that along the way so that you can survive and not become obsolete, especially in the marketing industry is very fast moving. Um, and my values are always with me. My personal core values, just every conversation like this, every
Mm-hmm.
client meeting. I've learned that integrity, and my definition of integrity is doing the right thing even when no one's looking. So my integrity is always present. So if
Right.
something doesn't align with me or someone has a
Mm-hmm.
belief that's not mine, and that's okay,
Mm-hmm.
it may not be the right fit for us to continue doing work together because then there'll be some friction along the way. So
Okay.
that's where I apply my personal core values to the
Mm-hmm.
conversation. I put it out there,
Yeah.
and if it's met with any friction, then it's good because it's better to know now versus later. When it's too late.
Really. So, what single advice would you, or piece of advice would you give to someone looking to leave their 9 to 5 job and start their own business?
Yeah. Well, number one, it's clarity in what you want to do. It's really figuring out what's your goal. Like what do you see in your future over the next 12 months, 18 months?
Right.
I
Yeah.
always think, yeah, 5 years is fine, but it's kind of hard. So much changes. The world changes. So
Yes.
you can plan for 5, 10 years, but
Hmm.
we could be hit by a meteorite. We don't know.
Yeah.
So I think thinking, what do you want to do over the next 12 to 24 months, say,
Hmm. Hmm.
and figuring out also what and how you want to get there. And if it's
Right.
a job, that's
Mm.
okay. But what do you need to save? Is it a year's salary so that you
Mhm.
feel comfortable enough to go pursue that goal? That's what I
Right.
did. I made sure before I quit, I said to my wife, how much runway do we have? How much savings do we have? And she said, we're probably good for a couple, 2.5 years, maybe. It ended up it ended up surviving. We surviving for more than that. But look at your savings. Make sure that you have all your ducks aligned, so that you don't
Mhm.
just jump ship without. You need money. You need capital to invest in a business. You can't just go out. You can make a business and have it pay for itself, but then you'll be stuck potentially in that cycle over and over and over, just paying the bills. Everything you make, you put back in. Everything you make, put back in. Versus getting to a degree where you're putting a little bit of your money into it and then also maybe getting some partners, some investors to help you.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
it's very, very difficult to start a business without money.
With that money. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very true. Thank you so much for joining
You're
us
welcome.
today.
You're welcome.
Have you got any inspiration and advice for people out there who are looking at starting their own business?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, I would say check out my podcast. If you're here with Shola, you could also go into your app and check out Entrepreneur Circle. I talk a lot about business. I talk about
Mhm.
inspiration,
Yeah.
and things that could potentially inspire others to take a step as well. but yeah, that's that what I'd say is probably find podcasts that help you, and and then reach out to those people, because those people are actually available. You'd be surprised, right? That you're a podcaster, like if someone reaches out to you, it's a blessing. You're like, oh wow, somebody's listening, and somebody was inspired enough to
Exactly. Yeah.
contact me. So
Yeah.
yeah, contact Shola. If you're listening to this and you've been listening to her for years, you should for sure reach out to her, and know that I'm speaking for you, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you welcome that with open arms, as do I. So that would be my advice.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. How can people contact you if they want to?
Yeah, you can go to my website, ericcabral.co. So ERIKCABRAL.co. And
Mhm.
just look through. You can see my podcast, and there's a form to reach out to me, a contact
Right.
form if needed.
Okay, great. Good to know. Thank you so much for coming on our show today. I'm
Yeah,
going to
thank
ask
you.
you two questions which are actually not related, but it's just getting to know you more. So the first question is podcasting or blogging? Which one do you prefer?
Oh my
Do you
goodness.
do both?
Yes. So podcasting is heavier of a lift because when you say podcasting, I'm thinking video. It has to be
All
on
right.
YouTube.
Uh-huh.
If it's audio only, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with all the tools given with AI, you can relatively easily take your podcast interview and turn it into a blog. So that's a no-brainer. That I would say the hardest part, but more effective over time, is having a YouTube video podcast. That's
Uh,
the most effective. The blogging is just a wonderful benefit of having a podcast, because
right.
you could be and should be taking that content, having AI transcribe it, and turning it into a blog.
Into a blog. Right.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. Last question.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you do this, but I'm just going to ask you anyway. So, do you prefer in-person networking or virtual?
In person.
In
Absolutely.
person.
All day. Absolutely. Because think about it, like you and I can connect this way, right? It's fine. I love
Yes.
your wonderful smile.
Yeah.
But in person, after we have a long conversation, I can actually hug you. That is the way humans connect, through physical handshakes, through hugging. That's how love is created, is physically present with one another. That's natural. This is somewhat unnatural. This virtual world. I am not a proponent of it when everyone gets the goggles on and lives their life in that. That's not going to be a future that I want to really be a part of, to be honest.
Oh my God. I like your honesty. Thank you
Yeah.
so
You're
much.
welcome. You're welcome.
And until next time, it's Shola and Eric on Mission to Inspire. Bye, everyone. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment on this video. Bye. Are you ready to unlock a life of abundance, wealth, and purpose? I'm Shola Ajibade, your money, abundance, and prosperity coach. And I'm inviting you to join me on the Faith Hub, where faith meets prosperity. Inside this app, Faith Hub, you get to access my exclusive coaching, powerful money affirmations, and life-changing resources to help you attract financial success and walk boldly in abundance. Dive into my books, live sessions, and daily affirmations designed to transform your mindset and align you with divine wealth. Join me today on Faith Here and start speaking prosperity into your life. Download the app, Faith Here app, now and step into your season of massive abundance. I shall see you on Faith Here app. Join me there and see you soon.